I discovered my wife feeding our baby an unusual meat. The DNA test prompted the lab technician to contact the authorities. Dear esteemed viewers of Cheating Tales Lab, we are eager to know, from which corner of the globe are you joining us? Do share your thoughts with us. Let us embark on the journey of today's tale. Chapter 1: The Perfect Life. Daniel Rourke had constructed his existence with the meticulous care of a true artisan. 38. He commanded 3 thriving construction companies throughout the Pacific Northwest, each a reflection of his unwavering dedication and astute intellect. His hands, marked by the toil of years spent in manual labor before ascending to the role of boss, now bore the weight of contracts valued in the millions. Yet those very hands had always retained the knowledge of both creation and destruction. The Brandt family estate sprawled across 47 acres just outside Seattle, its contemporary design harmonizing effortlessly with the surrounding nature. Garth meticulously crafted each beam, every angle, and all the security features with his own hands. Everything that transpired on his land was known to him. It stood as his fortress, his sanctuary, and until 6 months prior, it was his flawless realm. 3 years prior, Samantha Voss had entered his life with the undeniable power of a tempest. She was tall and striking, her auburn hair capturing the light like flames. Engaged in one of his commercial projects, she had been working as an interior designer. Her laughter resonated like a melody. Her ambition mirrored his own, and when she gazed at him with those emerald eyes, Garth encountered a sensation he had never known before: vulnerability. It was utterly captivating. Their romance unfolded with remarkable speed and fervor. Audra grasped his ambition, admired his domain, and appeared truly captivated by the individual he had evolved into. She never inquired about his history, the foster homes, the juvenile detention, the years he had fought to rise from obscurity. She perceived merely the accomplished entrepreneur, overlooking the perilous youth who had grasped from a tender age that mercy equated to frailty and trust was a form of currency best not squandered lightly. Marriage arrived within a year, and Emma made her entrance 18 months thereafter. Their daughter was a vision of perfection, her bright eyes sparkling with joy, a quick smile gracing her lips, embodying Audra's delicate features and, Garth hoped, his own unwavering determination. At 10 months old, Emma was already exhibiting remarkable intelligence, keenly observing conversations with her alert eyes and babbling in intricate patterns that resembled the nuances of language. Yet, Garth had come to understand long ago that perfection was merely a mirage. 3 weeks ago, the first fissure in his meticulously crafted reality emerged during what was meant to be an ordinary evening. Upon his return from the job site inspection, he discovered Audra in the kitchen, offering Emma a meal that clearly did not originate from the organic baby food jars neatly arranged in their pantry. "What is that?" he inquired, loosening his tie while observing his wife delicately serve dark, finely minced meat into their daughter's enthusiastic mouth. "Only protein," Audra responded, her gaze fixed elsewhere. She has recently turned away from the commercial offerings. Developing infants require genuine nourishment. The meat possessed a peculiar texture, deeper in color than beef, exhibiting an almost purplish tint. Emma appeared to revel in it, her small hands eagerly reaching for more. Yet, there was something in the scene that set Garth's instincts on edge. The very instincts that had ensured his survival during a harsh upbringing, that had alerted him to treacherous business ventures and perilous alliances. "Where did you acquire it?" "A gift from a dear friend. He procures exquisite meats for upscale dining establishments." There was a subtle sharpness to Audra's voice, marking the first instance he had ever perceived her as defensive. "Rest assured, Garth, it is entirely safe. Do you not have faith in me?" Faith. The word nestled in his chest, heavy and unyielding like a cold stone. Chapter 2. Unusual cravings. 2 weeks had elapsed since that initial occurrence, and the peculiar meat had woven itself into the fabric of Emma's daily meals. With mounting annoyance, Audra brushed aside Garth's inquiries, firmly asserting that their daughter was flourishing thanks to the new protein source. Indeed, she was. In the span of merely 2 weeks, Emma had blossomed in ways that left Garth both awestruck and a touch uneasy, her growth unfolding with an intensity that was hard to ignore. She is articulating "mama" with clarity now. One evening, Audra declared, her voice bright as she bounced Emma on her lap. Observe the remarkable strength she is developing. Indeed, Emma exhibited an extraordinary strength for a 10-month-old. Her grip unexpectedly firm as she clasped Garth's finger. Her eyes had taken on a newfound sharpness, tracking the exchanges of adults with an intensity that bordered on the uncanny. Garth had endeavored to delve into the intricacies of the meet on his own, yet Audra's explanations lingered in a haze of ambiguity. Denny obtains it, she would reply when questioned. It is an intriguing variety of game meat, entirely permissible and remarkably nourishing. Ethan Maddox.in recent months. The name had begun to weave itself into Audra's conversations with increasing regularity. A former college companion, she asserted, who had recently relocated to Seattle to launch a specialty food import venture. Audra had been instrumental in his establishment, leveraging her design connections to introduce him to prospective clients. Perhaps I ought to meet this Denny, Garth proposed one evening. If he is supplying nourishment for my daughter, I would appreciate further details regarding his operation. Audra's response was immediate and piercing. He maintains a strong sense of privacy regarding his business practices. Certain suppliers of his demand absolute confidentiality. The specialty food market is undeniably competitive. Yet Daniel Rourke had not forged his empire by settling for half-truths and dodges. His construction enterprises thrived, in part, due to his meticulous verification of every detail, a healthy skepticism towards absolute trust, and the ever-present readiness of contingency plans. Long-standing habits, shaped in the fiery depths of a youth where vulnerability equated to being preyed upon, proved difficult to extinguish the next evening. He took his place with intention in his study, where the carefully angled mirrors provided an unobstructed view of the kitchen, a security measure he had thoughtfully incorporated during the building's design. He observed Audra as she prepared Emma's dinner, taking note of her ease with the dark meat, portioning it with the assuredness of one well acquainted with the task at hand. As she ventured outside to answer her phone, Garth seized the moment with swift determination. He meticulously scraped a small sample of the raw meat into a plastic container, sealing it with care before tucking it securely into the pocket of his jacket. Years spent navigating treacherous landscapes in silence had honed his skills, yet Audra remained oblivious. That evening, while his wife rested serenely by his side, Garth found himself wide awake, gazing at the ceiling above at Emma's rapid evolution, Audra's protective instincts, the enigmatic Ethan Maddox. Each element seemed intertwined in a manner he had yet to grasp. Yet he would. Daniel Rourke possessed an unwavering ability to uncover the truth, regardless of how deeply it lay hidden. The meat sample rested in the confines of his desk safe, biding its time for the dawn and the lab contact who was indebted to him from years of construction deals. Dr. Henry Cross at Pacific Northwest Genetics had consistently proven to be dependable, discreet, and meticulous. Should there be anything peculiar about this meat, Marion would uncover it. Chapter 3. DNA Doesn't Lie. The call arrived 3 days later, interrupting Garth as he meticulously examined the blueprints for a new shopping complex. Dr. Henry Cross's voice resonated with a palpable urgency that instantly seized Garth's complete focus. Garth, I require your presence in the LAB at AT this moment. Do bring your daughter along. What have you discovered, Marion? Not via telephone. Simply collect Emma and head straight to the police station as soon as you depart from this place. Please refrain from heading home just yet. Keep your destination a secret from your wife. The call ended abruptly, and Garth found himself gazing at his phone, gripped by the chilling realization that his reality was on the brink of a profound transformation. For 8 years, he had been acquainted with Marion Tyler, having constructed the man's private research facility from the very foundation. Marion remained remarkably composed. 40 minutes later, Garth found himself ensconced in the sterile confines of Pacific Northwest Genetics, with Emma chattering cheerfully in her carrier, while Marion Tyler paced restlessly behind his desk, reminiscent of a caged creature yearning for freedom. The geneticist appeared wan, his typically steady hands quivering ever so slightly as he accessed files on his computer. The meat sample you brought me, Marion began, diving straight into the matter at hand. It is unlike any creature I have ever come across. The DNA structure appears to be aberrant, altered in ways that imply genetic engineering, yet I cannot discern any legitimate research purpose behind it. Garth's face remained impassive, yet his grip on Emma's carrier subtly intensified. In what way has it been altered? Improved protein synthesis, expedited cellular growth, and most alarmingly, genetic indicators that imply it is engineered to influence human development upon ingestion. Marion pivoted his monitor to face Garth, revealing intricate genetic sequences that held no significance for him, yet unmistakably instilled a deep fear in the scientist. This is not sustenance. Garth.it is a form of biological enhancement serum cleverly masquerading as meat. Improvement for what purpose? I'm uncertain, yet I conducted further tests on the sample and discovered traces of human DNA intertwined with the modified genetic material. Newly acquired human DNA, Garth. Specifically, mere hours elapsed since the meat was prepared. The space felt as if it were closing in on Garth, the weight of the implications washing over him like a tidal wave. Emma gurgled with delight, her tiny hands stretching toward the vibrant charts adorning Marion's wall, blissfully oblivious to the unraveling of her father's reality. There is additional information to consider. Marion's voice fell to a hushed murmur. I undertook the task of conducting a fundamental genetic comparison between the traces of human DNA and your daughter. The genetic material within the flesh. It aligns partially with Emma's genetic markers. There is an individual utilizing biological material that is directly linked to your daughter to fabricate this mysterious substance. In his 38 years, Garth Brand had encountered numerous moments of crisis. Struggles for existence and the complexities of foster care, business transactions that took a disastrous turn, construction mishaps that nearly claimed his life. Yet, nothing had equipped him for the fury that surged within him, fierce and unyielding. Akin to molten steel, someone had turned his daughter into a mere pawn in a grotesque experiment, and his wife was unwittingly serving her to it. I require a thorough genetic analysis on Emma, he stated, his tone eerily composed. Comprehensive examination across all dimensions. I seek to understand whether this substance has influenced her development in any way. I've already prepared the testing kit, Marion replied, revealing a small device from her bag, a swift cheek swab entirely devoid of discomfort. However, Garth, it is essential for you to comprehend. If this substance has been modifying your daughter's genetics, it may lead to lasting consequences. Moreover, the individual behind its production possesses access to biological samples from your family. Marion delicately brushed Emma's cheek. Garth's thoughts were racing, contemplating the ramifications. The enigmatic companion of Audra, known as Denny, the instinctive reaction to being probed, her increasing absences from home, citing business meetings and design consultations, had become quite noticeable. What is the expected time frame for the results? It will take 6 hours to complete the fundamental analysis. 48 for the entire assessment. With meticulous care, Marion sealed the sample, ensuring its integrity was preserved. However, Garth, I truly meant what I expressed regarding the police. This transcends mere marital issues. There are whispers of clandestine genetic experiments taking place, and your daughter may be at the center of it all. Garth rose, his hands steady as he lifted Emma's carrier, even as a tempest brewed within him. I will approach this in my own manner initially. Should the need for police assistance arise, I will reach out to them. With each step toward his truck, Emma's cheerful chatter filling the air from her carrier, Garth's mind began to weave intricate plans. 3 decades of enduring a merciless world had imparted a crucial lesson. Justice and law often diverged in their paths. At times, when those you held in the highest regard turned against you, it became necessary to take on the role of enforcer of retribution. As Garth Brand approached his truck, a resolute determination had taken root within him. He was certain that his wife and her enigmatic companion, Ethan Maddox, would soon discover the consequences that awaited those who dared to threaten his family. They would absorb knowledge at a deliberate pace, enduring hardship, and the lessons would leave an indelible mark. Emma was entitled to justice. Garth Brand had always been unwavering in his pursuit of justice for those who deserved it. Chapter 4. Digging deeper, the ensuing 12 hours reshaped Garth Brand, evolving him from a prosperous businessman into a figure of far greater peril, a hunter driven by intent. As Audra slumbered serenely next to him, convinced that her husband was unaware of her fabrications, Garth methodically set about unraveling the falsehoods that had tainted his existence. The next morning, he made his way to an unremarkable office building nestled in downtown Seattle, the headquarters of Reed Donovan, who operated the most advanced private investigation firm in the Pacific Northwest. Fisher, a former military intelligence operative, was a man acutely aware that certain inquiries demanded resolutions beyond the reach of conventional means. "I require all the information on Ethan Maddox," Garth stated, as he slid a file across Fisher's desk. "A record of employment, financial documentation, acquaintances, and places he has visited over the past 6 months. I require discreet observation of my wife, ensuring it remains entirely undetectable." Fisher, a slender figure with hair touched by premature gray and eyes reminiscent of a cold winter's day, examined the information in silence. He had previously collaborated with Garth, conducting background checks on prospective business partners and probing into industrial accidents. Yet, there was an unmistakable quality in Garth's demeanor today that hinted this job would unfold in a manner unlike any other. Duration: 2 days for initial insights. Finalize the dossier by the end of the week. Garth set a cashier's check down on the desk. A reward awaits those who can uncover links between Lawson and any biological research facilities, whether they be legal or otherwise. What of your wife? I desire to be aware of every place she visits, every person she encounters, and every phone call she engages in. Yet, she remains blissfully unaware of the eyes that linger upon her. By noon, Garth had also consulted with 3 additional specialists. Owen Briggs, a cybersecurity expert, possessed the ability to navigate digital communications with remarkable precision. Frank Sloan operated a private security firm composed exclusively of ex-Special Forces members. And most importantly, there was Derek Harlow, a man whose official title was consultant, yet his true mastery resided in the art of making problems vanish for good. Every gathering was succinct, formal, and settled with untraceable currency. When Garth finally made his way back home for lunch, he had woven together a web of resources capable of unveiling any secret, pursuing any target, and, if the situation demanded, neutralizing any threat. Audra welcomed him with her characteristic radiant smile. Emma perched gracefully on her hip. "You've returned home quite early. Is everything all right?" Garth replied, planting a gentle kiss on his wife's cheek as he observed Emma with keen interest, eager to share precious moments with his girls. The infant appeared perfectly ordinary, thriving, yet Marion's caution regarding genetic modifications reverberated in his thoughts. Emma appears to have grown once more. Today, her energy has been remarkable, as if she comprehends every word we utter. Audra cradled Emma with a tender bounce. "This afternoon, I contemplated the idea of bringing her to the new playground on the east side. Breathe in the crisp, invigorating air outside." Garth's phone vibrated, signaling a message from a member of Fisher's surveillance team. His wife's vehicle was under the watchful eye of GPS tracking, with 2 operatives strategically placed to shadow her every move. "That sounds absolutely ideal. I may find myself toiling away into the night, so there's no need for you to stay awake for me." That evening, while Audra thought he was poring over construction contracts, Garth occupied a rented office space across town, his gaze fixed on multiple monitors displaying real-time surveillance feeds. Audra had, in fact, brought Emma to the playground, though she was not there by herself. A tall, athletic figure with dark hair awaited them, a man whose interactions with Emma bore the ease of someone well acquainted with her. He was identified as Ethan Maddox, based on the initial reports. Garth observed his wife and Lawson in close proximity, their body language conveying a connection that suggested a depth of intimacy that transcended mere friendship. They lingered together on a park bench, watching as Emma played, Audra's hand gently resting on Lawson's arm. Their heads leaned in, engaged in a dialogue that appeared far from ordinary. Yet it was Lawson's exchange with Emma that coursed a chill through Garth's veins. The man maneuvered Emma with a deft familiarity, and the baby reacted to him with unmistakable recognition and warmth. This was not their inaugural encounter. This was far from their 20th. "Sir," Gilneal's voice resonated through the comm system, I have successfully deciphered Lawson's phone records. You won't want to miss this. The information illuminating Garth's screen revealed a tapestry of deceit that extended well beyond the confines of a mere affair. Conversations with laboratories across 3 distinct states, encompassing several that focused on genetic research. Monetary transactions directed towards accounts associated with illicit biological materials. And perhaps the most incriminating evidence lies in a collection of encrypted messages exchanged between Lawson and Audra, tracing back 8 months, 2 months prior to Emma's birth. There is yet more, Neil went on. Lawson has been utilizing your daughter's genetic material for a certain enhancement serum. From the communications I've deciphered, it appears they have been collecting biological samples from Emma since she was merely 3 months old. Strands of hair, traces of saliva, and even vials of blood collected during her slumber. Garth's hands tightened into fists as he grappled with the weight of the betrayal. His wife had not merely strayed from their vows. She had played a role in employing their daughter as a subject for illicit genetic experiments. What about the meat she has been providing for Emma? It is crafted to elevate the baby's genetic potential, rendering her a more significant asset for whatever they are cultivating. The refined genetics are reintroduced into the serum via ongoing sampling. By the stroke of midnight, as Audra stepped through the door, convinced she had merely enjoyed a carefree afternoon at the playground, Garth had pieced together the intricate tapestry of the conspiracy that had woven itself into the fabric of his family. Ethan Maddox was more than merely Audra's lover. He stood beside her in a complex endeavor that regarded Emma as a biological asset, ripe for extraction and augmentation. His daughter had been used by them. They had transgressed against his family. They had erred in their assumption that Daniel Rourke was overly refined, excessively compliant, and too gentle to respond in kind. They were on the brink of discovering just how mistaken they truly were. Chapter 5. The Trap is Set. Fisher's comprehensive dossier on Ethan Maddox arrived precisely 48 hours later, and perusing it felt akin to witnessing a puzzle unravel in the most chilling manner imaginable. Lawson transcended the role of a mere specialty food importer. He was Dr. Dennis Lawrence, a geneticist who had faced expulsion from 3 prominent research universities due to his involvement in unauthorized human experiments. His true enterprise thrived within the confines of a forsaken veterinary clinic on the fringes of Tacoma, where he meticulously crafted advanced biological serums for a clandestine network of affluent patrons in pursuit of genetic enhancements for their offspring. The process was straightforward. Collect genetic material from children exhibiting remarkable development, artificially enhance it, and subsequently administer the resulting serum to foster progressively powerful genetic modifications. Emma was not the first to fall prey to Lawson. She was merely his greatest achievement. The rogue has been orchestrating this operation for 2 years, Fisher reported, as he scattered photographs across Garth's desk. At least a dozen families are entangled in this situation, yet the majority of the parents remain unaware that their children are being exploited as mere resources. It seems that your wife is the main person bringing him into the fold. Through her interior design work, she identifies targets, gains access to their homes, and collects samples. Garth meticulously examined the surveillance images capturing Audra as she slipped into various homes throughout Seattle. With her designer bag in tow, she consistently emerged with samples destined to be transformed into cutting-edge genetic enhancement serums. His wife was far more than merely complicit. She was the mastermind behind the entire recruitment operation. What of the other families? 3 families unearthed the truth and endeavored to unveil the operation. All 3 families ultimately perished in incidents deemed accidental fatalities. A blaze engulfed the home, a collision marred the road, and a misstep on the trail led to unforeseen troubles. The images of the departed families etched themselves into Garth's mind. Parents who endeavored to shield their children from the lurking monsters, only to meet their demise in the process. Emma was destined to be Lawson's crowning achievement, the most intricately altered child in his assemblage, meticulously engineered from the moment of her inception to yield the most formidable genetic material imaginable. They intend to take her, Fisher continued. According to intercepted communications, Lawson intends to transfer Emma to a permanent facility within the next fortnight. Your wife has been slowly getting ready for a life apart from you. Garth's phone vibrated, signaling a message from Dr. Tyler. The comprehensive genetic analysis for Emma had been finalized, and the findings necessitated an urgent consultation. Yet Garth found himself free from the confines of a lab, for he had long since grasped the truth that lay before him. His daughter had been methodically transformed by those who regarded her as little more than a precious asset. That evening, as Audra readied herself for what she thought would be yet another clandestine rendezvous with Lawson, Garth set his plan into motion that it shall be rapid, all-encompassing, and undeniably enduring. Bryce, he spoke into his secure phone. A pristine facility is essential to this secluded space, acoustically sealed, designed to accommodate a minimum of 2 individuals. What is the time frame? 1 full day. And what of Bryce? Ensure it contains all the essentials required for a prolonged interrogation that I seek to uncover the whereabouts of each family they have aimed at, every sample they have collected, and every client they have served. Comprehended. What are the plans for the cleanup afterward? Thorough elimination. There are no remnants, no remains, no proof that they were ever here. As Audra lay in serene slumber, convinced that her husband was oblivious to her treachery, Garth meticulously orchestrated plans that would bring retribution to every family shattered by her scheme. Lawson and Audra had erred in choosing a target who wielded both the means and the mercilessness to retaliate in equal measure. Their empire rose, forged in the anguish of innocent children and the misplaced trust of their parents. Garth would dismantle that empire piece by piece, making certain that its creators felt every ounce of suffering they had imposed on others. With the first light of dawn, all was set in perfect order. Audra and Lawson would take their last misstep together, stepping into a snare that would seal the fate of their operation for good, while Garth would at last attain the justice his daughter had long been owed. Chapter 6: The Hunt begins that evening. Audra's phone conversation was short yet revealing. Garth, attuned to the call via Owen Briggs's advanced surveillance system, heard his wife affirm their plans to rendezvous with Lawson at their familiar spot, a seemingly deserted warehouse that masked the operations of Lawson's genetic modification alibi. As the night approached, Audra leaned closer to her phone, her voice barely a whisper, while Garth feigned slumber beside her. He will find himself toiling into the evening once more. I will be able to provide the latest samples then. Latest samples. Garth's jaw clenched in a silent fury as the unsettling truth dawned on him. She intended to extract more biological material from Emma before handing it over to her partner. His daughter transcended the role of mere victim. She existed as a resource to be cataloged and employed. As twilight descended, Garth orchestrated a meticulous display of readiness for an extensive work session, unfurling blueprints across his study desk and nestling into his chair with a steaming cup of coffee in hand. He informed Audra of the significant presentation scheduled for tomorrow that I anticipate spending the majority of the night fine-tuning every detail to achieve perfection. Poor baby, Audra murmured, pressing her lips to his cheek, a taste of betrayal lingering in the air. I will do my best to ensure Emma remains quiet, allowing you to focus. An hour after Audra tucked Emma in for the night, Garth observed through concealed cameras as his wife stepped into their daughter's nursery, carrying a modest medical kit. With deft precision, she moved swiftly, gathering hair samples and employing a delicate needle to extract a single drop of blood, all while Emma lay in serene slumber. The vision of his wife handling their daughter as if she were a subject in a scientific experiment ignited within Garth a fury so profound it felt almost transcendent. At 9:47 p.m., Audra pressed her lips to Garth's in a tender farewell before departing for her book club meeting. At 10:15 p.m., the surveillance footage verified her arrival at the warehouse, where Lawson stood ready with equipment that seemed more suited for a horror film than a credible research facility. Garth lingered for an additional hour, observing Audra and Lawson as they immersed themselves in their tasks, before finally deciding to make his exit. Yet, in contrast to his wife, Garth would not find his way back home that evening. The warehouse rested in a once thriving industrial district, now a shadow of its former self, encircled by desolate lots and forsaken structures that would silence any echoes from inside. Garth devoted the afternoon to meticulously examining the building's layout, pinpointing entry points, assessing security measures, and, crucially, mapping out escape routes that could be sealed off. Frank Sloan's team had strategically placed themselves around the perimeter, guaranteeing that no one could exit the warehouse without authorization. Owen Briggs kept a vigilant watch over all communications, poised to disrupt any cries for assistance. while Derek Harlow lingered in the shadows, equipped with specialized tools crafted precisely for this type of mission. As the clock struck midnight, Garth slipped into the warehouse through a rear access door, rendered inoperative by Fisher's team just hours before. He glided through the shadowy corridors of the facility, each step taken with the quiet skill of a seasoned predator, drawn by the faint murmur of voices leading him to the altered laboratory area. What he discovered there surpassed even his darkest fears. The laboratory exuded sophistication, backed by ample funding, and was unmistakably crafted for enduring functionality. Within the refrigeration units lay hundreds of genetic samples, each meticulously labeled with names and dates, a haunting testament to the violated children scattered across the Pacific Northwest. Computer systems meticulously monitored the evolution of advanced serums, assessing their efficacy and market worth to affluent clients in pursuit of genetic enhancements for their progeny. At the heart of the scene, Audra and Lawson collaborated with a seamless ease, reminiscent of seasoned partners who had navigated this terrain many times over. As Lawson meticulously processed the biological material beneath the advanced microscope, he remarked on the unprecedented development evident in Emma's latest samples. Her genetic markers are progressing beyond anything we have accomplished with the other subjects. She's always been special, Audra replied, her gaze fixed on Lawson as he meticulously prepared a fresh batch of enhanced serum. The fusion of Garth's genetics with the enhancements we've implemented is giving rise to something truly remarkable. The clients are prepared to invest remarkable sums for such powerful material. With just a few more batches from Emma, we could finally embrace retirement. Lawson secured a vessel filled with rich, cured meat. Yet, we must transition her to the permanent facility in the near future. Garth has been probing with an abundance of inquiries. He harbors a sense of suspicion, yet lacks the acumen to unravel the true nature of the situation. In just a few more weeks, we will be ready to orchestrate Emma's vanishing act. Another heartbreaking incident, reminiscent of the other families who ventured too close to the unknown. Garth had reached his limit. They were more than mere criminals. They were hunters, perceiving children as mere assets and parents as hurdles to be removed when they proved troublesome. They had devised a sinister plot to take his life and abduct his daughter, mirroring the fate of other parents who had stumbled upon their dark dealings. Justice, Garth had come to understand over the years, was not a matter of waiting for the courts to dispense. At times, one must embody justice on their OW, and as he emerged into the light, the expression that crossed Audra's face upon seeing him made every dollar he had invested in this moment feel utterly justified. "Hello, my dear," Garth said softly. "It seems we should have a conversation." Chapter 7, The Reckoning. The laboratory stood in hushed stillness, broken only by the low hum of refrigeration units and the gentle sigh of air filtration systems. Audra's expression transformed swiftly, traversing through shock, fear, calculation, and ultimately settling into a chilling anger that unveiled the predator lurking beneath her stunning facade. "Garth," she spoke with deliberation, her tone unwavering in the face of the situation. "This is not as it appears." Indeed, Garth ventured deeper into the laboratory, the sound of his footsteps reverberating through the pristine environment. "It appears that my wife and her partner have been utilizing our daughter as a subject for illicit genetic experiments. It appears that you have been collecting biological samples from Emma since she reached the tender age of 3 months. It appears that you have taken the lives of no fewer than 3 families who stumbled upon your clandestine activities." Ethan Maddox stood motionless behind the laboratory bench, his hand inching cautiously toward what appeared to be a security alarm. Yet Garth had anticipated every possible outcome. "I wouldn't," Garth remarked in a casual tone. "Why colleagues have already rendered your communication systems inoperative. No one is coming to your aid. Garth, pay attention to what I have to say." Audra stepped closer, her hands lifted in a soothing motion. "What we are embarking on is nothing short of groundbreaking. We are propelling the next chapter of human evolution, bestowing upon children genetic advantages that will transform the world. Emma is not in any danger. She is ascending." "Ascended?" Garth savored the word as if it were a toxic elixir. "Is that what you conveyed to the Morrison family prior to setting their house ablaze? Is that what you shared with the Hendersons prior to their car plunging off that cliff?" At long last, Lawson discovered the power of his own voice. The magnitude of our achievements here is beyond your comprehension. The genetic modifications we have crafted hold the potential to eradicate hereditary diseases, elevate intelligence, and prolong human lifespan. Some sacrifices made for the betterment of humanity. What about sacrifices? Garth inclined his head with deliberation. Fascinating selection of language. The main lights of the warehouse flickered on abruptly, illuminating the vast expanse of the laboratory and the armed figures that had materialized from the darkness. Frank Sloan's team had strategically positioned themselves at every exit, their presence morphing the once clandestine facility into a veritable prison. Garth continued, revealing, "I've dedicated the past week to uncovering every detail of your operation. Each family you've chosen, every sample you've taken, every client you've provided with augmented genetic material sourced from wrong children. I am aware of the facility in Oregon where you intend to take Emma. I'm aware of the clientele in Japan willing to invest significantly in genetic enhancements. I am aware of the ways you handle situations when parents become a burden." At last, Audra's facade fell away entirely, exposing the cunning hunter lurking within. "What does it matter? Are you really going to hand us over to the authorities? The majority of our actions remain unsubstantiated in a legal context. We will exit within 5 years at the latest, and by that time, Emma will have aged out of the program regardless." Indeed, Garth concurred wholeheartedly. The legal system falls short in providing the justice that is truly warranted for the harm inflicted upon innocent children and their families. Fortunately, I find myself unbound by legal constraints. Derek Harlow emerged from the shadows, bearing a case filled with instruments that Audra and Lawson would soon come to know all too well in the hours that lay ahead. "All is in readiness, Mr. Brandt. The interrogation facility stands prepared for prolonged sessions." Questioning, Lawson's voice wavered ever so slightly. "What do you mean by that?" Garth explained with a calm demeanor. "You're going to tell me everything. Each family you've chosen, every child you've harmed, every client you've served, every associate you've collaborated with. I request that you furnish me with comprehensive details regarding your operation, encompassing financial records, communication logs, and distribution networks. And if we refuse," Garth's smile held the chill of an Arctic wind. "It is then that you will uncover the inventive methods I acquired during my stay in juvenile detention. Methods that some individuals discovered to be remarkably convincing." For the ensuing 6 hours, within a soundproof facility meticulously arranged by Derek Harlow for this very occasion, Audra and Lawson furnished Garth with all the necessary tools to thoroughly dismantle their operation. Names, locations, financial accounts, client lists, and, above all, the identities of each child who had suffered at the hands of their genetic harvesting program. As the first light of dawn broke, Garth meticulously assembled an extensive database detailing their transgressions, alongside a thorough strategy for administering justice to each individual entwined in their web. Chapter 8. Methodical Annihilation. The ensuing 48 hours revealed the stark contrast between a thriving entrepreneur and a relentless predator, armed with boundless resources yet devoid of any moral compass. As Audra and Lawson found themselves confined within the walls of Derek Harlow's specialized facility, Garth embarked on a methodical campaign to dismantle every facet of their operation with an artistry that was both ruthless and precise. Owen Briggs's cybersecurity team breached the financial networks that had underpinned the genetic modification program, redirecting millions of dollars from illicit accounts into funds designated to compensate the families who had suffered as a result. Anonymous client lists were dispatched to law enforcement agencies spanning 3 nations, igniting investigations that would unveil affluent individuals who had acquired enhanced genetic material sourced from exploited children. Operatives under Frank Sloan executed coordinated raids on storage facilities across 4 states, successfully retrieving genetic samples that were subsequently returned to their rightful families, accompanied by documentation that detailed the means of acquisition. The evidence was irrefutable, and the ensuing arrests decisively dismantled the entire distribution network. Yet, Garth's most intimate form of justice was directed at those clients who had consciously acquired genetic enhancements sourced from Emma's biological essence. These individuals, affluent executives, international diplomats, luminaries of the entertainment world, came to realize that their augmented offspring would no longer possess their enhancements. The genetic modifications were designed to be reversible, yet Garth took meticulous care to ensure they were permanently undone. Dr. Mary and Tyler toiled tirelessly to create neutralization treatments aimed at eradicating the artificial genetic modifications from each child impacted by Lawson's program. In just a week, numerous children throughout the Pacific Northwest began to revert to their inherent genetic state, liberated from the transgressions that had been imposed upon them, all without their awareness or approval. Emma's treatment unfolded as a labyrinthine journey, demanding meticulous oversight to safeguard her natural development from the potential perils of the neutralization process. By the conclusion of the second week, Mary verified that Emma's genetics had returned to their original, unaltered condition. Mary reassured Garth during their final consultation, stating that she would develop normally from this point forward. Purely organic growth, devoid of any artificial enhancements or perilous alterations, embracing the essence of human evolution. She will be all right. In the dimly lit interrogation facility, Audra and Lawson discovered that the act of betraying Daniel Rourke's family bore repercussions that transcended the limitations of the legal system. Their torment was systematic, all-encompassing, and meticulously crafted to reflect the atrocities they had imposed upon vulnerable children kindly. Audra pleaded fervently in her last interrogation session. "I am willing to go to any lengths. I will lay bare the truth, offer my testimony against all our companions, and present proof for each transgression we engaged in. I simply wish for this to come to a close. You had 3 years to fulfill the role of wife and mother that my family deserved," Garth stated, his voice devoid of any emotion. "You opted to embrace the role of a predator instead. Predators receive no mercy. They are eradicated." As the third week drew to a close, all remnants of the genetic modification operation had been obliterated. Each offender had been addressed in accordance with Garth's own principles of justice. Each victim was returned to their original form and duly compensated for the pain they endured. Samantha Voss and Dr. Dennis Lawrence had seemingly evaporated from reality, their absence as complete and enduring as the heinous acts they had perpetrated against vulnerable children. Chapter 9. New Foundations. Half a year had passed when Daniel Rourke found himself in his study, observing Emma as she engaged with blocks on the carpet beside him. At 17 months old, she was blossoming just as a typical vibrant toddler ought to be, full of curiosity, brimming with energy, and blissfully oblivious to the terrors from which she had been saved. The legal proceedings unfolded with an unexpected clarity. Audra's vanishing had been scrutinized, yet the absence of any signs of wrongdoing, coupled with extensive records of her engagement in illicit activities, led to the eventual designation of the case as a voluntary disappearance by an individual evading the grasp of law enforcement. Her name had found its way onto international watch lists, yet Garth understood all too well that such lists rarely yielded any tangible outcomes. Dr. Tyler conducted regular visits to observe Emma's progress, each meeting affirming that the child was flourishing in her rejuvenated natural environment. The artificial genetic modifications had been entirely eradicated, granting Emma the freedom to evolve in accordance with her own genetic potential, unencumbered by the enhancements that had been imposed upon her. Indeed, Emma spoke with clarity, her gaze lifting from the blocks, her bright, intelligent eyes reflecting a determination that resonated with Garth's own. "Indeed, my dear princess," Garth responded, as he gently lifted his daughter onto his lap. "Father has arrived." The families impacted by the genetic modification program had been discreetly reached out to and made aware of the alterations made to their children. Many opted to eliminate the artificial modifications, valuing their children's organic growth over enhancements tainted by illicit origins. Initially, a handful of families stood firm in their resistance, yet the gentle persuasion of Garth's associates gradually illuminated the wisdom of opting for natural genetics rather than artificial modifications. A sweeping law enforcement inquiry into the genetic modification network has culminated in numerous arrests spanning several nations. Affluent individuals who had acquired advanced genetic material suddenly found themselves entangled in criminal accusations, subjected to public scrutiny, and, in certain instances, confronted with enigmatic mishaps that became lasting symbols of the repercussions tied to the exploitation of children. Garth meticulously documented each person who had taken part in or gained from the operation. The records were meticulously kept in secure locations, accompanied by clear instructions for their release should anything ever befall him or Emma. He had come to understand that justice often demanded a measure of patience and a vision for the long haul. Mr. Brandt, the voice of Reed Donovan resonated through the secure phone system. The last associate from the Oregon facility has been officially eliminated. The network lies in complete disarray. Comprehended? Shut down the accounts and dissolve all agreements. Are there any additional assignments forthcoming? Garth gazed down at Emma, who was happily engrossed in her toy truck, her growth unfolding with a sense of ease and security. Only if another dares to make the grave error of aiming at my family, Emma would navigate her childhood blissfully unaware of the genetic alterations that had been imposed upon her, oblivious to the predators who regarded her merely as a resource for their nefarious schemes. She would flourish in alignment with her inherent potential, shielded by a father who understood that at times, justice necessitated traversing the edges of legal confines. In a realm where hunters perpetually pursued fresh prey, Lily would remain eternally unscathed. For those who dared to threaten Daniel Rourke's daughter, a harsh truth awaited. Some fathers would embrace the darkness within, transforming into monsters to safeguard their beloved children. The lessons of the past had instilled in Garth a harsh truth. Mercy was a luxury he could not afford in his quest to safeguard those he cherished. The future would rise upon the bedrock of that lesson, guaranteeing that Emma could flourish in a realm where predators recognized that certain families were far too perilous to pursue. As Garth observed his daughter at play, he pondered the notion that justice wasn't solely defined by adherence to rules. At times, it revolved around ensuring that those deserving of another day would indeed witness the dawn of tomorrow. Daniel Rourke was unwavering in his commitment to ensure that his daughter stood among the chosen few, regardless of the sacrifices demanded from others. Here lies the conclusion of our tale. We invite you to express your reflections in the comments section below. I appreciate your time. If this tale resonates with you, consider subscribing to this channel. Tap on the video displayed before you, and I shall await your presence there.